Hey everybody, Joe Cortez and James Burns of FrontRowPreps.com, powered by Chicken Ranch Casino and Golden Bear Physical Therapy, coming to you today from Weston Ranch High School, where we are making our predictions. Now, Burnsy, we've got a Thursday game this week, so let's start there. The Bulldogs of Tracy, just up I-5, will make their way to Turlock for the annual Battle for the Bone. This is always a classic, and it usually ends up as a preview to a playoff game. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, you know, I like Turlock in this one, Joe. Turlock was our #1 team last week. They moved down to #2 after losing to Clayton Valley.
A respectable loss.
A very respectable loss. Clayton Valley's a premier Bay Area program.
Absolutely.
They lost that game 21-7. Tracy is also coming in off a loss to Buac Colony, our new number one.
Our new #1. Thank you. I've been saying that for a while.
For weeks now. I like the Bulldogs of Turlock in this one because they're at home. Okay, I like that defense. I believe in that defense. I think that might be the best defense in our region.
In our region, sure.
Yeah, and I think that James Peterson and that staff will right the ship coming home after a loss.
Okay, I'm in agreement with you. I think the Bulldogs of Turlock get this one done. Okay, moving on to our Friday night slate, kind of our co-main event this week. Central Catholic visits St. Mary's of Stockton. Central Catholic looking for its first win of the year.
How often have we said that?
We've not said that in our short history.
Yeah, not since 2010 has Central Catholic been 0-2 at this point, and there's some real concern there in Central Catholic's camp that they might be 0-4 going into the Valley Oak League play, and with Manteca coming right out the chute, they could be 0-5.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'll tell you why I like the Raiders this week, though.
Lay
I like the Raiders this week because they're going to start to get healthy. They're going to get Kyle Jackson back, and that's a versatile player that can play a little H-back, tight end in that offense. He's a backup quarterback should something happen to Dalton DeRosset, and he can play a little safety.
He's on pace to return. He's not a for sure yet, but he's on pace to return.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're, they showed flashes against De La Salle last week, one of the top teams in all the nation. They can throw the ball with Cytherea Price. They can run it with Manaya Lebo. If they just get a little healthy, I mean, if they get 1 or 2 more bodies, and I think they will, I really think Kyle Jackson's going to play this week. I think that they're going to get things done on the road at St. Mary's.
Cytherea Price nursing a tender hamstring. That's the problem. With such a limited roster this year, Central Catholic is 1 injury away from calamity.
What are you saying?
I'm saying they're going to win this week at St. Mary's. Okay, Grigori versus Bayer, an all Modesto City game.
Yes.
Who do you like in this one?
I like Grigori in this one. Grigori's ranked in our top 10. Bayer isn't. Bayer hasn't even come close to cracking the top 10. They're 1-1. They did, I think, picked up their first victory of the season last week. So that's great for Bachman, the first-year coach over at Bayer.
Yes.
I still think Grigori has too much talent. Baker Melendez, Titus Riney, those guys are going to get it done this week against Bayer.
My Bears of Merced, my alma mater, nearly pulled it off last week. They nearly upset Grigori. They took them to overtime, couldn't get it done. I like Grigori in this one as well. Hey, here's a matchup, Sierra Pacheco, 2 teams who are both undefeated.
Yeah.
But they really haven't played anybody yet. We don't really know how good either of these teams are. We'll know a lot after Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know who's better. That's for sure. But yeah, Pacheco was a team that we thought would be down because they graduated a lot of talent from last year's team.
New coach coming in.
Sierra was a team that, they've been building slowly under Chris Johnson now in his 3rd year. They won 5 games last year. Knowing Sierra the way I do, because I look out my front window and I see their practice field. They've got good talent. Kamani Stanley is a legit running back, run threat. He broke one for 80 yards last week, had a monster game against Central Valley. I think Sierra gets this one done. My confidence is such that I put him at number 10 in this week's poll, ahead of Atwater, ahead of Pacheco. I think that Chris Johnson in year 3 with the system that he's developed, he's got the buy-in from the kids, and he's starting to get the talent as well.
Okay, I agree. I think Sierra gets this victory this week. Sonora Escalon. On paper, this seems like a little bit of a mismatch, but it's one of the marquee games because of the history of each of these programs. Sonora visits Escalon, our #1 team in our small school rankings. Who do you like?
Yeah, 2 heavyweight programs. But I like Escalon in this one. Look, Sonora's just down right now. Down. The past 2 years, the non-conference schedule, the way they've stacked up these opponents, it's difficult for them to gain any traction going. They have Escalon, Ripon, Hilmar. I mean, you're taking on the top 3 teams.
Absolutely.
In the small school region.
And
rankings. Escalon is #1 for a reason. They're loaded with talent. I think they've done what they've had to do to this point in beating Union Mine and taking care of Calaveras, another top 10 team. Sonora fell out of the top 10 rankings. They're searching for themselves. They're a young bunch. I don't think they get it done this week again. against Escalon. I think Escalon rolls away with
I
this
think
one.
Escalon rolls away with it. And then finally, Atwater versus Lincoln of Lincoln, not Lincoln of not Lincoln of Stockton, Lincoln of Lincoln, the Zebras.
The Fighting Zebras.
One of the few zebra mascots in all the nation.
Yeah.
Atwater's 2-0. What do you like?
Atwater's 2-0 and looking really
They're
impressive.
looking really good, and I told you they should be in the
Yes.
top 10. Did I not?
He did. He said it's about time we jumped on the Atwater bandwagon, and I'm close. They
Coach
got
Seneca Ybarra is doing a really good job there getting that program.
great
turned
guy,
around.
great football mind. He's the kind of coach that people gravitate to,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes a big difference, especially in high school sports, especially in high school football. And here's the thing about the Falcons. You know, for the past 2 years, we've been talking about Charles Action Jackson, right? That was their only weapon, and he was getting beat up and hurt. And whenever he'd leave the games, that's kind of like when the Falcons would fall off. They're not relying.
He's got
just
help
on,
this year.
He's got help. I like them against Lincoln, even though the rankings suggest that Lincoln should be the favorite in this one. I like Atwater to go 3-0 and really press for that top 10 spot.
I do too. They're ranked about 100 spots lower than Lincoln, according to Max Preps. But at some point, you just gotta pull your pistols and say, this is the way I'm going. And I think we're gonna hop on Atwater's bandwagon. We're gonna say they pull the upset, and we're gonna get them into the top 10 real soon. So that's a look at our predictions for a few of the games this week. For our complete list of predictions, be sure to visit frontrowpreps.com, powered by
Chicken Ranch Casino
and
Golden Bear Physical Therapy.
for James Burns, I'm Joe Cortez. Thanks for stopping by.